Let's take a look at two different types of window frames. This one here is what we used to refer to as a block window. It does not have a flange on it and should be used only in certain situations. Now, the reason why I'm making the video is someone had a question about these windows leaking, and I'm going to try and see if I can't help them out in the video here. But let's go ahead and take a look at how these windows are attached. They're actually attached through the inside, and you could use screws to attach them. And they usually don't have holes on the bottom, usually just have holes on the side. And you just simply insert the screws into the slots, and then of course they need to be, I don't know if they can actually attach up against a piece of lumber or if they need a space, but I would imagine they need at least 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch, because the lumber expands when it gets moist and can create problems for these windows. So imagine there's going to have to be a gap, 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch around the perimeter of the window frame, even though it's attaching to something. Now here's what a window looks like with a flange. It's going to have something about 1 inch maybe, with a bunch of holes that you can insert nails or screws into. Again, follow the manufacturer's installation instructions on that. I know that's one that some of us seem to have problems with. I'm not going to point out any names, but you know who you are. So here, the paper here with the flashing that goes around the window, the top piece of flashing usually goes over the window. This allows the water to go over the flange and around it. If you install the flashing paper and then just put the window in, the water could actually leak underneath or behind the window flange. So make sure that it always goes over the flange. And if you need more information, don't forget to visit our website. Check out the window section. I have a window section just for windows where you would be installing them for new construction. And then and that would be under the building tab. And then I have a repair section for windows. So, and that would be for remodeling and stuff like that, or repairs, to give you an idea. So that's probably the one you're going to want to go to if you're looking for more information about windows. But I do have quite a few videos on that. Make sure you check them out. So this is what it would look like with a flange after it's installed. Now let's try and figure out how we are going to install a flange around the window. And the only way I know how to do this would be by using J metal. This is a metal used for plasterers, or stucco, people that install stucco. And you can also use it for applications like this. Now, I'm sure you can use other metal, and I'm sure there are other ways you can seal this, but this is the only one that I can really think of. This is a common method used for storefront windows also. You might actually, if you're walking by a store, you know, for a strip mall or something like that, check out the windows. You'll see where they'll actually use some type of a window frame. It might be a metal window frame. And then it will be sealed in between the J metal and the window. They'll have caulking in there or some type of a sealant in there, which is the same thing we're going to do here. So you will install the metal and leave a space. Now, I would imagine 1/4 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch. I'll leave that up to you. If I was going to do something like this, 1/4 of an inch might be better. And what you're going to do is just, after everything's installed here, you will just fill this up with caulking. Just feel free to knock yourself out and whatever you want to put in there. The more the merrier, I guess. And because don't forget, the caulking can actually separate. You know, it can separate from the components here, from the metal or the window. And it might separate in the front, but it won't separate in the back if you have enough of it in there. So here's basically what we're looking at here. The J metal and the window with a space in between. And let's just go with 1/4 of an inch for a recommended space. 1/8 of an inch might work. I don't want to get, you know, if installing the windows and all you have is 1/8 of an inch, then that might be fine. I mean, don't forget, if the window is 1/8 of an inch away from the wood framing, you can always move the J-metal 1/4 of an inch away from the wood framing, and that'll be fine. You don't need to have it line up with the wood framing. So if you only have a small space in between the window and the wood framing, don't let that get you confused here. Make sure that the metal, or you can always get the 1/4 inch space here. Now, I have the metal at the top of the window. It's over the flashing paper, but you're not going to want to do that. You're going to want to take the flashing paper and have it lap over the J metal. And if you're in doing this for new construction, you know, you can always put a piece of flashing paper on, seal the flashing, J metal to the flashing paper, and then put another piece of paper over it if you want some extra protection. But this is going to, the paper or the flashing paper is going to need to go over it. That's going to be the preferred method. Now, I have the corners drawn in. Let's go back here. I have the metal like this. You might want to run the metal across. You might want to have this piece go up. A lot of times when they're installing metal like this, they'll have this piece go up a little bit, and then this section of it will be cut out so that the top one can run through, and then they cut it. They'll cut it here and then bend the other part over. You might want to do something like that. And if you need a video on that, feel free to send me a link, and I'll see if I can do something for you. But this is actually what you're going to want it to look like. Remember what I was talking about earlier. If you have your metal flange here, the paper will need to go over that. So this is basically how you would install a flange around a flangeless window frame for something like this. If you purchase the wrong windows or you're trying to make something work. But the windows, if for new framing, for wood construction, most of the time you're going to want to get a window with a flange and not one of these block windows like I mentioned earlier is what we used to refer to them. You might have another name for them, and feel free to leave the comment in the comment area if there are other names. As we all know, in construction there are names for everything when it comes to all sorts of different names to add to the confusion. In the last part of the video, I just wanted to see if I could help the guy out. He already has a situation where there's wood siding and the window is leaking. So let's go ahead and take a look here what you might want to do. You might want to give yourself a little more space. And I do this a lot when I'm working on replacing windows for wood siding. I'll go with a little larger space if I think it's necessary, and you might need that to apply the J-metal to around the window. So if that's the case, simply go a little further and you can use a larger piece of wood trim. Now, when you install the metal, it needs to be sealed. You're going to need to seal every part of it. So you might want to put the sealant on the side that you'll actually, if you put it on the back side here, run a bead of caulking up the length of it here. Same thing on the bottom. And then simply when you go to install it, squish it into the flashing paper. But a lot of people, they caulk the heck out of these things. They use all sorts of sealant. They seal the side, they seal all the holes, and this is going to help you with to prevent, or at least reduce the chances of this stuff leaking. So let's go ahead and take a look at, after you're done, put a piece of trim in there or a filler piece. Make sure that the filler is at least 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch away from the wood, just in case we get expansion here. And then put your piece of trim on there and you are done. So hope that helps. If it does and you enjoy the video, don't forget to hit the old thumbs up button.